What is matter made of? Look closely at the salt you used in the mixtures and solutions activities. Remember, it's a compound made of sodium and chlorine. You will see a lot of little granules. A box of salt is actually millions of tiny bits of salt. But is a granule the smallest piece of salt? If you put one granule of salt on a hard surface and crush it with the back of a spoon, it breaks into powder. If you look at the powder under a microscope, you will see that it is broken into a million microscopic pieces of dust. But is dust the smallest piece of salt? If you keep breaking bits of salt smaller and smaller, you will get to the smallest possible piece of salt. That smallest piece is called a molecule. What is an atom? There are 92 kinds of basic materials occurring naturally in the world. These basic materials are the elements. Iron is one element. Carbon is another element. Oxygen, hydrogen, and gold are each different elements. The periodic table of the elements is a display of all the different elements. The smallest piece of an element is an atom. Elements are made out of just one kind of atom. Iron is made of iron atoms only. Carbon is made of carbon atoms only. A helium balloon contains only helium atoms, some of the lightest atoms in the world. A gold ring is made of gold atoms, some of the heaviest atoms. All the elements are made of their own kinds of atoms. This means that there are only 92 different kinds of atoms occurring naturally on Earth. Each kind of atom has its own properties. That's why each element is different from every other element. It's hard to describe just how small an atom is. If you put a million hydrogen atoms in a row, the row would still be too small to see. If you put 5,000 rows of a million hydrogen atoms end to end, they would make a row 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch long. That's about the distance across your fingernail. It's a total of 5 trillion atoms. In the last decade, instruments were developed that allowed scientists to take pictures of atoms for the first time. One instrument is the tunneling electron microscope. Scientists had predicted that atoms organize into patterns when they interact with each other. The images showed that this prediction was right. This image of silicon atoms shows how they are positioned in patterns that repeat. This image was taken with a scanning tunneling microscope. An image of silicon atoms in an organized pattern. What is a molecule? Why do we get thousands and thousands of different kinds of materials in the world if there are just a few kinds of atoms? Because different kinds of atoms can join together to form molecules. That's what a molecule is. 2 or more atoms attached to one another. The attachments between atoms are called chemical bonds. When 2 or more atoms bond to form a molecule, the molecule has different properties than the atoms by themselves. Water is a molecule that forms when one oxygen atom bonds with 2 hydrogen atoms. Water has very different properties than the elements hydrogen and oxygen. Carbon dioxide is a molecule that forms when 2 oxygen atoms bond to a carbon atom. When a chlorine atom bonds with a sodium atom, a molecule of sodium chloride forms. Sodium chloride is common table salt. When you break salt into the smallest pieces that are still salt, you have molecules of sodium chloride. A scientist working on an atomic resolution microscope. How do atoms rearrange? When atoms rearrange to form new molecules, it is called a chemical reaction. When calcium carbonate, chalk, is mixed with hydrochloric acid, stomach acid, the 2 materials react. The molecules in the chalk and stomach acid rearrange, and new molecules form. The reaction looks like this. This is how you read the reaction. Calcium carbonate plus hydrochloric acid yields carbon dioxide, a gas, plus calcium chloride plus water. In the investigation phys quiz, you mixed a salt called calcium chloride with sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. When you added water, the two solid materials dissolved and reacted. New molecules formed. The starting molecules, the salt and soda, are called reactants. The new molecules are called products. In this chemical reaction, the products are carbon dioxide, a gas, calcium carbonate, a solid, and table salt dissolved in water. The atoms in the product molecules are the same ones that were in the reactant molecules. The difference is the way the atoms are arranged. The new molecules have different properties than the molecules that reacted. When you did this reaction in a bag, the gas and the white material gave evidence that new products had formed. All matter is made of atoms. Air, water, all the living things on Earth, and Earth itself are made of atoms. But there are only 92 different kinds of atoms. How is the huge number of different objects, materials, and organisms possible? Those atoms can bond together to form countless different molecules, and each different kind of molecule has properties that are different from the properties of every other molecule.